Hi guys, LTN. Talked about London, Tokyo, New York. Those are three strategic locations. They are the locations of the three largest stock markets in the world. The T in the middle could also represent Tel Aviv, or if it's an I, it could also represent Israel. Tel Aviv and Israel, basically the same thing. Sideways, it's a H, which could represent Hawaii. We have references to Obama, who's from Hawaii in this video, next to an apple which has a volcano on it. At the moment, we've got Kilauea going off in Hawaii, so there all seems to be forms of connections there. Sideways, the LTN becomes possibly a date, 17th of August 2018. 17th of August has passed now. It's the 18th of August 2018 at 7 minutes past 10 over here in the UK. There is another 17 in August, however, on the lunar calendar, which is the 27th of August. That would be 1 month after the longest blood moon we had in a decade, and that may connect with the red apple. Just interpretation, I have no real solid leads on that, but it's a thought. Lilypod pointed out that LTN could translate as London Transport Network, and in association with that, I've been studying the hangman on the chalkboard today, and I think I may have figured out the L part and why we have a faint line there. Mirrored, the faint line and the line that goes down underneath the L becomes a T. When you flip it normally but reverse it, the bottom of the L, the faint line, and the line under the L become an F, and then you've got the L, which is the L itself. So London Transport Network, TFL. TFL stands for Transport for London. So it seems there's some connection with the transport in London, and that could possibly be connected with this second 9/11 event that we're looking out for. Obviously, London has had its tube network attacked before on the 7th of July 2005, so it's not an impossible thing to happen. But the number of people that will be affected, or possibly affected, according to this video, makes me think it's gonna, I don't know what the event is going to be, but if you look underneath, when it's mirrored here, if you look underneath this whole section of TFL, you've then got the number 10, the letter K, and I.D. They've drawn the last tail part of the E faintly, so that when you're looking at it from this perspective, it becomes I, a dot, and a D. Now that altogether says 10,000 ID'd. Now I say ID'd because underneath you've then got the hangman, which is the representation of a dead person, but it's 10,000 ID'd and then dead. That's a lot of people if that is a correct interpretation. I have no idea if it's correct. I can't say for sure, but that's what I'm seeing. You guys can see how I've broken it down in that way. Looking at the hangman's arms, that may be indicating a time, which would be about 5 past 5, just after 5 o'clock. If this has connections with the transport network, then that would be 5 o'clock in the evening, most likely, because that is when people finish work and rush hour begins. If you've ever been to London, if you live in London, you know around that time the trains become absolutely packed, the platforms become absolutely packed, so there are a lot of people crammed into confined spaces during that time, which may be why such a large number of people are affected by whatever it is. I really can't be certain what they're saying here, but one of the things that makes me think maybe something to do with poisoning or something like that is because the hangman has died, but he's got his tongue sticking out, and that may indicate something to do with something ingested or something like that. Again, these are all just interpretations. I really don't know, but looking at the London Transport Network, the TFL theory, the hangman itself with the circular head and the line going across, but outside of its mouth, outside of its head, so it goes across its face, but the lines finish outside of its head. Just reminds me of the underground sign, a circle with a bar through it where the lines extend outside of the circle. Then you've got the X, and the tongue could possibly be representing a V, which could be the 25th, or it could be that this tongue is just indicating that they've died from something they breathed or ingested. And then the X could join on to what could be the 7, which makes up the bar or the thing that he hangs from, which could be 27. And if that's correct, you've got 27 on this side, and then 17th of August 2018, which would be 27th on the lunar calendar on that side. So I think that's what I'm going to stick with. Already, before this was found, I thought that it was a series of events, being London first, followed by Tokyo or Tel Aviv or Hawaii, or all three of them on the same day, and then New York last on the 2nd of September. So now the 17th has passed, there's only one timeline I'm looking at, which is the 27th to the 2nd of September. 3 key dates I'm looking at in that timeline is the 27th, the 31st, and the 2nd. That would be for the 3 different locations. London on the 27th, the 3, Hawaii, Tokyo, Israel on the 31st, and then New York on the 2nd of September. Let me know what you guys think. There may be another interpretation, which is why I kind of mentioned poisoning, because the TFL could also be a representation of TL, as you can see here when just draw a line there. You've got the L left. Those 2 letters, when put together, searched online, they are the symbol for thallium, which is a toxic chemical. In Greek, it's called phallos, meaning green shoot or twig. The remedy for thallium poisoning is to ingest Prussian blue, which is a chemical compound that absorbs the toxicity. There's also hemp fusion, which is a way of taking blood out of the body, passing it through a machine to filter, and then passing it back into the body. All of those things kind of made me think about this scene here. The blue people, Prussian blue, the cure, the X's on the mouths, possible connection with something they've ingested, maybe thallium. Thallium is odorless and tasteless. If it got into the water, for example, people could be poisoned without even knowing it, until maybe it's too late. The barbed wire that's going around these figures could be representation of something like hemp fusion, where you have the tubes coming out of the body through the machine and then back into the body. And then obviously the name itself, thallium, being phallos, which means green shoot or twig. In the background you have a couple green shoots and green twigs. So that's just my interpretation. I think it's strong on the TFL part and on the LTN part, possibly both having connections to London Transport Network and the Transport for London network. Possible date reference, 17th of August 2018, which is the 27th of August, 17th of August being on the lunar calendar. Possible number of people, 10,000, although really, God, I hope not. 10,000 ID'd, and then possibly a time reference, which would be just after rush hour, just after 5 o'clock. You guys think about it, let me know what you think. Have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and may the Heavenly Father bless you.